Welcome back to another episode of Autonomy podcast. And today on the line, I have a special guest. We've got Millie here, who's an online coach, someone that's swapped careers during her time, and a general overall boss lady. So welcome to the podcast. I'm really tempted to start, now that it's recorded, I'm going to say, oi, as we just had a conversation. But hey, Millie, how's it going? You okay?
Yeah, I'm very well, thank you. I'm assuming that you are too, as we have just discussed. Shouting "oi" at people is not the right way to start a podcast now, is it?
No, but I'll definitely work on my manners for sure.
Yeah, no, I'm all good. I'm flattered to be here.
Thank you. I know you from quite a while now, maybe nearly over 6 months, and just having general chats with you quite a lot and seeing your journey, where you come from, how you've done it. I just think it's really inspirational. So I wanted to kind of bring you on the podcast just to shoot some shit because I like talking to you, and then second of all, just to inspire others and see what we can mix up. So do you want to give people a rundown on, and maybe outside of the competitive stuff, like what you've been doing for yourself over the last 6 months that has like changed everything that you do?
Yeah, absolutely. So for those of you who don't know me, at Coach by Millie, drop me a follow on Instagram because we're nearing 10k now. That's getting exciting. I'll be doing a big giveaway. So who am I? That age-old question. So up until 4 months ago, I was job title non-proliferation project officer for the Department of Business, Energy and Industrial Strategy, aka nuclear scientist, protecting the world from nuclear bombs and stuff. I went and studied a chemistry degree, and then I went into the world of corporate work, working to find success in life and fulfillment, which I didn't find by doing that. And COVID was I wouldn't say that it's welcome, but it was definitely a pivotal moment in my life where I was working from home. I spent a lot of time figuring out what I actually wanted to do with all of the spare time that I had and with myself. Fast forward, 9 months from when we went into a lockdown, I had launched my online coaching business. Obviously signed up to the OTE with Adam, you guys, that's how we met. And I quit my job a few months back to take online coaching full time, as well as having spent the first 6 months of 2021 prepping for bodybuilding shows. And I've been on a really big transformation journey myself, figured out that I could help people along the way from everything that I learned, realized that helping people makes me really happy. Nuclear science is cool, does make me happy, but I wouldn't jump out of bed in the morning for it, if you know what I mean. So that is how I found myself where I am now.
Do you think, you mentioned that you find yourself being unhappy. Do you think that most people have to, or in your circumstance, what do you think the pivotal place was that you were unhappy and you wanted to move away from it, that allowed you to kind of start questioning why you now want to do something different?
No, that wasn't the case. What happened was that I found out from I started coaching others because I felt that I had something to offer and I felt that I could help people. And it was genuinely just from a place of, let me see like if I can, be of use to someone, because I'm like a chronic people pleaser. I love helping people. I've always been like that. I'm a massive extrovert, social butterfly. And then when it comes to having started coaching people, seeing the results, and just those messages that you get from clients when something big has happened in their life, nothing had ever brought me so much joy. And then as time went on and I did more of it, I realized even though like nuclear science was cool and I loved being in a corporate job where you get to dress up fancy and go to these corporate dinners and say that I do this and I've got a master's degree, yada yada yada, on the surface, that doesn't mean shit. But what does mean shit is when someone turns around and says that they finally stopped smoking and they can run and their like lungs don't feel like they're about to collapse. Like that makes me feel happier than the job that I was doing. So I think it was for me a case of realizing that there was something which fulfilled me more than science.
Yeah, look, that's a shout. Perfect shout. How much of a role was that body transformation that you did yourself as well? Like, what was that a big massive thing that allowed you to start seeing affecting yourself and affecting others? And like, what type of like mental traits did you get from doing a body transformation that now you utilize daily?
Yeah, so I think it has played a massive part in people, trusting me and realizing that they can relate to me. However, that's only built up momentum as I've built up momentum when it comes to coaching in the business. A lot of people end up finding me through whether it's, YouTube or Instagram. And 9 times out of 10, they don't know the transformation unless they've scrolled down and kind of seen my own photos. So I think it's one of those things when people do realize, they're like, oh shit, she's relatable, like she's been through it herself. And then a lot of people will then come to me for that. And I've got clients who have felt inspired because they've got chronic illnesses or they've just had their own hurdles which they faced. So it does play a massive role when it comes to being relatable and building trust. Now, when it comes to like the traits of my transformation, I mean, there's one way to learn things, which is to do everything wrong yourself and then learn from it. Like maybe if I'd had a coach spoon feed me the whole way, I wouldn't have the same kind of traits and the resilience which I have now. I'd probably say that's the number one thing is resilience. I went down so many wrong routes and I fucked myself up in so many ways, ended up binge eating, ending up having to seek help for that. Really bad body dysmorphia for years, yo-yoing constantly for years. So all of that, and the fact that I never gave up, and the fact that I truly found my love for like resistance training, like I love it inside out, that has all kind of accumulated to be where I am now. But definitely would say I just never gave up along the way, and I was always inquisitive to learn more, to not make the same mistakes again, which is something that a lot of people lack because they just want results here and now. They don't actually care about why or what they're doing to their body. And that's something which you can't force someone to want to know, but I would encourage you to want to know that.
Yeah, no, the curiosity. I always say that like having curiosity in what we do allows you to like kind of have exploration, and exploration allows you to take responsibility and also genuine interest in what we do. So like curiosity is massive. You mentioned there about the genuine love for training. Was there a period in your life when you were just training for well, the opposite of love, of what you were just training for training? And what does
No,
never? So the first time you walked in the gym, it was like, oh my god, I love it.
pretty much, but I'll kind of explain how. So when I first started my fat loss journey, I started it just like from a nutrition perspective because I'd always been so unfit and nervous in the gym and hated any sporting activities because I felt like I stuck out like a sore thumb. Like I felt so uncomfortable there. And also I didn't know what I was doing. And so I just avoided it. Like I was the one who would leave the gym in a panic attack because I didn't know where the on button was on the fucking treadmill. Like genuinely, like that was me. And so I just avoided it as much as I can. And it wasn't until I came across powerlifters and other strong athletes and influencers, content creators on Instagram, and saw that apparently shifting some weight can build you a bit of a shape. Like after I started my fat loss journey, I literally looked like a pancake. Like I looked like a deflated balloon. I'd literally lost all kind of like all the weight, but I had no shape. I still didn't like my body because obviously without resistance training, without building muscle, you're never going to have that athletic or toned physique that everyone aspires to have. And so it wasn't until I went into the gym and I was like, right, let me learn how to squat, learn how to bench, learn how to I started off powerlifting. And actually it was like, oh, I don't really know what I'm doing. This is weird, but it feels weird in a good kind of way. So I'm going to try again. And I did love it. So I'm very lucky that I found the first thing that I absolutely loved. I didn't go and try random sports like, I don't know, netball for fun. No hate to any netball players out there.
Well, I mean, it is shit sport, just basketball slowed down, but you get quite that's for most of the people that we work with as well. That could be something where they must be thinking, oh, that's quite lucky because when I go to the gym, I just fucking hate it. What would you say to those people, or what advice do you give to those people that say, I just hate the gym? Like, what are your first like two things that you would say? Well, this is what you do to stop that happening.
Yeah. So in order for you to find what you do like, you have to kiss a few frogs, right? You have to go you have to go through a few things to be able to find what you do like. for example, I worked my fucking ass off to go into a corporate job, which everyone was so proud of me for doing. And turned around, I said that I quit to my family. They were like, "You're crazy." Yeah, I kissed that frog goodbye to do something that I love. Same with you when you go to the gym. You might not like the cross trainer, maybe you'll like the stairmaster. You might not like doing, the kind of powerlifting style strength training. You might like resistance training, hypertrophy training. Like, you might like these different things. So you've got to try different things to figure out what you want to do. And that could be sport in terms of playing certain sports. You don't have to do the typical gym stuff. Try CrossFit. I quite like CrossFit, like might go back to that. And then aside from just trying different things, I'm just trying to think of what my point was, but I've forgotten it. You've got to just basically throw yourself out there. And if you don't start to expand your comfort zone, you're never gonna actually get over those hurdles. There, where there is a will, there is a way. You will find something that you enjoy. It just takes a little bit of time. And go to your taster sessions, do what you can, expose yourself. And I know it's easier said than done, but definitely, I've never ever had a client turn around to me after I've asked them to do something new and say that they've regretted it, because actually they've always learned something from it, even if they didn't enjoy it.
Yeah, love the kissing of the frog. So many different examples.
I mean, let's not delve into your frog history. I think that would be a really long podcast.
Ouch, but no, that wouldn't be a very long podcast. And there'll definitely be some learnings on the way, that'd be for sure.
Yeah, I bet.
So then, as you kiss the frog multiple times, then that transitioned into competing and doing more. I don't know if you want to call it advanced, but more structured related to prepping and building. How is that transition? Like, do you still utilize the practices that you did during the transformation, or has now it like kind of moved up a gear to the way that you deal with things and act?
Yeah, I think the one kind of thing that I didn't have when I started my fitness journey, and I'll be quite honest, like, this is one thing where it was like an on switch. And a lot of maybe general population clients can relate to this if, for instance, they have an event or something coming up. So for me, if I was dieting for the sake of dieting, wanting to lose a little bit of body fat along my journey, but there wasn't a set goal, a defined purpose, or a reason why, I'd be so much more likely to deviate and fall off track. And I just found myself dieting, then binging, then not dieting, then this and that. And, you end up chasing your tail for a year. If you've dieted more than twice this year, what are you doing? Because you're just wasting your time. So for me, I never really took it seriously. I could have got to where I am now a whole lot faster had I actually just been consistent over time. But when it came to competing, because it was like, no, this is a competition, and every single action that I took for the last 6 months, it was like, I'm doing this, but there's someone doing more, and then I would do more. Someone else is going to be out there working harder, and then I would work harder. And also the biggest thing for me is, not being, I didn't want to have any regrets. I could not look back at my competitive season and not say that I hadn't given 100%. Now, if I look back at it, I know that there are things that I could have done in a better way, but there's nothing that I can say that I didn't do, because I completed it all. I ticked every single box. And I think that's one thing that took it up a gear, is the fact that there was a competition. I was against other people. Say, for instance, if you're doing a photo shoot, you know that you're going to have a camera in your abs by the end of it. So you're probably going to be way more likely to ignore the biscuits. But if you don't have that set defined goal or a set reason why, or, your holiday to Malaga, Cabos, wherever you're going, like, if you don't have that reason, then are you like, what are you doing? Like, can you say to yourself, why am I doing this? Because you shouldn't be swerved and swayed off that track if you actually care about where you're trying to get to.
Yeah. What's your reason?
For me, in terms of competing, why I decided, for me, it was to prove to myself that I can take myself somewhere that I'd never been before, because it's been a long journey. And I thought, if I've got to this point, who's to say that I can't fucking get a whole lot further? And it was mainly to me to show that, like, I before used to have the victim mentality and used to think like, oh, I'll never be able to achieve that or look that way because, and then, you know, it'd be the excuses, genetics, or I'm too busy, or yada, yada, yada. Like the same reason why everyone finds themselves never achieving what they want to achieve. But I was just like, if I cut the fucking excuses and commit to something, where can I get to? And now it's just a case of knowing that there is literally no limit. And as long as I just keep working, I can do whatever I want, which is quite scary, but also quite exciting.
Yeah, no, that's true. Did you ever fail during that 6-month prep? Like, was there ever a point where you didn't do what you were supposed to do?
There was once, but it was due to something out of my control. And that's what I found even harder. So I had injured my lat, just probably due to trying to move some weight during an exercise that maybe was a little bit too much, or just, you know, one of those kind of freak occurrences where sometimes you can just, you know, get a twinge, something goes. So I was simply doing some like lat pullovers, and the next day, like the whole right side of my body, like I literally just was in so much pain. And so that took a really long time to heal, just because I was on such low food and your recovery is absolutely shot. And I was really, really close to like leading up to another show, maybe like 10 days out. And I was still trying to do everything else that I could do. And I literally just remember being in the gym trying to get through one of my sessions, and everything hurt so much to the point where I couldn't do like 70% of my exercises. And I was there doing bicep curls and literally just crying during my bicep curls, because I was just like, if I can't do any of the other exercises, I'm going to do my bicep curls. And I was literally just there like a psycho, like crying in the gym, curling these dumbbells. And I was just like, this is not normal. Like I'm really stressing myself out, and we all know that the impact that stress can have on, you know, your physique and your performance. And it was at that point I messaged my coach and I said, hey, listen, I'm not doing really well at the moment. And so she told me to just, you know, take the rest of the day off. And I almost did feel defeated, you know, saying to take the rest of the day off, don't complete everything that you had to do, because I didn't want there to be a day like that. But when it is literally out of your control and you're just going to do yourself more harm than good, then actually it would have been a failure to have pushed on, because I could have ended up even more injured.
Yeah. Yeah. They're the ones that when it's just a freak, or it just is like, it just takes you completely off course, and especially so close to the shoot days, the comp is just, it's an absolute nightmare.
Yeah, I looked like a bag of milk. I was so inflamed. Like my body, it's impressive how much water retention I was holding due to stress. Like that's one thing that people don't realize is your psychological state is so important when it comes to what you can actually get done, but also how you look. And so yeah, that's something that I want to just kind of like remind everyone, that if you are having a bit of a bad time, trust me, as soon as you zen out, you'll probably be able to feel a lot better about yourself. And you know, the way that you feel towards your body image, that fluctuates so much. It is so psychological. So taking myself out of that situation and then realizing that if I relaxed for a week, I'd probably look a whole lot better. Well, I mean, I did. I genuinely dropped like 5 pounds in the space of a week, which when I was already quite lean is significant.
You mentioned about body image and stuff, like, I think you mentioned it before about having a negative body image. What did you do to in that process of going from a negative one to like more of a neutral one? That could be a guidance to other people that are in very similar situation, where they look in the mirror and go, ugh, or they go, shit.
Yeah. See, now you reminded me of the second point, which I was going to say when you asked me about, you know, how do you get over not enjoying training, which is to focus on what your body can do for you. You got legs, you best be fucking grateful for it. Sorry to anyone without legs. Like genuinely, you need to start to count your blessings. This is one thing that me being diagnosed with my chronic illness definitely spun my head and made me realize and appreciate my health. I am actually really grateful for that diagnosis, even though, you know, it does kind of cause me to suffer every now and then. If I hadn't been diagnosed with inflammatory bowel disease, I never would have been able to appreciate my health as much as I do. And so when I started, you know, powerlifting and resistance training, the focus was so detached from my body image when at least I'd go and train. And it was just like, right, I can't wait to be able to put a 10 on either side of that barbell and squat it to depth. I was just like, I cannot wait for that. And I still remember that to this day, my first 100 kilo deadlift, my first 40 kilo squat, like my first pull up, those are literally some of my proudest moments. So I genuinely feel like I felt more elation at my first pull up, like unassisted, than when I got on the stage, because feeling, your body develop over time and become healthier, and, realizing what it can do for you is so important. And your health is your greatest form of wealth. If you don't have that, what do you have? If you can't run around and enjoy life with your kids, what are you living for? So that is, like, as harsh as it sounds, it's so important to just focus on what your body can do. And that's what I started to do in my fitness journey, was just to really pay attention to training performance. This is something I urge my clients who are in their improvement seasons to do, because yes, you are going to start putting on a little bit more body fat. It's temporary. It's not going to hurt anyone. Like, I'm here to make sure that you're not becoming really fat. So just embrace what you can do, and that's train hard, and that's, fuel your body, that's enjoy social occasions. So these are the kind of things that I think people need to really strip things back and appreciate, like what is important in life, and that is being healthy.
You're almost taking yourself out of that situation. Think, like, if it's a negative, it's looking in the mirror and thinking, and you're thinking, okay, well, actually, what I've got seeing right in front of me is way more capable, has the capabilities, as opposed to thinking, oh mate, I've got that love handle that makes me feel a little bit like this. You're actually thinking, fuck, I've got so much to do or can do with this being, but then almost it's more of a gratitude element, as opposed to you're looking to tear it down any other moment.
Well, you could, yeah, exactly that. I could ask you, would you rather have your dream body for 20 years and then be sick, or would you rather have a body you're relatively happy with but be healthy forever? You really do need to consider what is important. And I think that's why I am so okay with this kind of post-show phase. I've spoken to a lot of girls and that I've competed with, and a lot of people who have been through bodybuilding, and so many people were feeling weird and like scared of losing the shreds, but like that you knew going into that was never normal. Like, so why are you shocked that as you're reversing out, yes, you don't look crispy anymore, because you're not meant to, like. And I think when you do appreciate that health and aesthetic and physique goals do not necessarily align or correlate in the way that you would expect them to, or that maybe the media has perpetuated over many years by putting the most shredded guys ever on the magazine covers, like when you start to realize that that's actually not the picture of health, when you know that, then you don't give a shit anymore, and you don't care about having a soft belly when you're on a beach and enjoying a beer. Like, you've got to pick what is important to you in life.
I'm so sure. In terms of your IBD, how did that change your food choices when you was finding out you got diagnosed, and now where you're at right now, like food choices wise, and like the things that you have to do daily to manage it? What do you have to do?
Yeah, so when it comes to my inflammatory bowel disease, at the time I was already considering, like at the time of diagnosis, I was already considering going vegetarian, because a lot of my friends at uni were vegetarian, and I was just like, I don't necessarily need to eat meat like to feel satiated. I like meat, it tastes good, but like the more I kind of thought about it, I was just like, I don't know, just something didn't sit right with me. Like, it's almost like a bit of a gut feeling, which I definitely don't trust my gut, but cannot be trusted. But yeah, I just decided, what, I'm going to go vegetarian. I assumed that by taking out meat from my diet, or meat or fish, that would be a more healthy thing to do. Now in hindsight, I know that that's not the case. I was just eating a whole lot of processed meat and fish and dairy. You can make sensible options when it comes to choosing animal products, so that they are good quality and not as processed. So I took that out of my diet, and I think by just doing that had kind of obviously helped me along my fat loss journey, but also to feel a bit better within myself. And then when it came to having flare-ups over the kind of past couple of years, I definitely noticed that there was a slight correlation with dairy consumption. And I was so sick that I was just like, if there's anything that I can do. And I started reading a huge amount into the research of animal proteins and inflammatory bowel disease. Now, I'm not going to make a decision for anyone, but what I'm going to say is there's a lot of research on it. Go and read a lot of research with, you know, a subjective view. So I read a lot into the research of animal proteins and how that can affect people who are, you know, predisposed to having inflammatory bowel disease. And I just decided at that point that I'm going to cut it all out. So I am vegan, plant-based. I can't say that it's necessarily, you know, helped or not helped, because inflammatory bowel disease is one of those things which has so many variables and factors which affect it that you can never pinpoint whether it's the fact that I took the dairy out, or maybe coincidentally at the time I became less stressed. Like, you can't specifically pinpoint what it is, but I definitely will say that I have felt better in myself since I removed the dairy, and even noticed that when going vegetarian. But again, it's not necessarily the fact I took out the meat, it could just be the processed element of the food. A lot of people say that when it comes to their inflammatory bowel disease, they have to remove a significant portion of fiber in their diet. Obviously, with me going vegan, that's quite the opposite. I have a lot of fiber in my diet, but just like any transitioning into and out of any kind of type of diet, there's a transitional period. Becoming vegan, I was definitely feeling a bit unsettled for a while, but now things are fine. So again, like, it's so independent. You'll hear some people with IBS or IBD, you know, can't even look at an onion without exploding, whereas I can eat onions all day. Well, not that I would, but I would probably be okay. I'd hope so. Don't challenge me on it.
Do one of those eating challenges, the 10,000 calorie one, but only of onions.
It's one way to get more people to stay away from me. Leave me alone.
They don't need any more encouraging.
Yeah.
So what type of protein sources are you utilizing now? So you were using processed foods, fishes, chickens, whatever. What are you using now to kind of hit the spot?
Yeah, so I tend to have quite a variety. So there's again a range of kind of more processed protein options for us vegans, and those less so. Obviously, many of you all know, you walk into a supermarket now and there's a whole vegan aisle of like all these pretend meats and things like that. So you can get lots of meat substitutes. Many of them are soy or wheat based. If I do buy meat substitutes, I will usually get them to be kind of soy based meat substitutes, because soy is a complete protein, provides me with my 9 essential amino acids, gives me that, you know, serving 3 grams of leucine so I can trigger muscle protein synthesis if anyone cares about, you know, optimizing muscle growth. So to me, the quality of my protein is really important, and I need to make sure that I'm getting in a high quality protein with each meal. So I will either go soy based, or if I am getting a protein meat substitute which is wheat based, I would usually tend to consume a serving of essential amino acids with that, because seitan or wheat-based protein is not a complete protein. So you need to account for that. And I'll kind of account for that with a serving or a drink of essential amino acids. Otherwise, I'll use, you know, protein powders, and I'll mix them into things like oats, cream of rice, soy yogurt. And that way I know that I'm getting a decent serving of all 9 essential amino acids. Then you've got tofu and tempeh, again, all kind of soybean based. So they're kind of less processed. The closest thing that you could say tofu is like cheese, but made from beans. So those are the kind of main things that I use for protein. And then you can never neglect the fact that you've got beans and legumes. If you consume, you know, enough of them, you can get that mix of the essential proteins. But obviously, as a bodybuilder, for me, having been competing, I've stayed away from those kind of mixed macronutrient protein sources, because, you know, take lentils, they're only 10% protein. The rest of it's carbs. I haven't had that many carbs to play with. So I've been having to be a bit more selective and careful of choosing more single macronutrient food sources, because I am someone who tracks my macros every single day. You know, if you're just a general population person who needs to hit, you know, your daily recommended intake of protein, you can do that with your eyes closed being vegan. It's not hard.
Yeah. So one thing that you specialize in, with that being like a segue, is obviously the utilization of the air fryer.
Oh yes. Oh yes.
talk to us about the capabilities of the air fryer, and what's the best way that we can utilize and get the most out of the air fryer?
Okay, so you could put like anything and your dog in the air fryer and it would probably work. Please don't go to air fryer dogs. Like tag me on Instagram.
Yeah, we're not in Beijing. We're not in Beijing at the moment.
Yeah, it's literally an oven but faster and smaller, so it's more convenient. My favorite kind of air fryer, my little air fryer recipe, which has actually been going around in the bodybuilding industry. I'm not going to claim that it's my idea, but it's technically you make your bowl of oats with a bit of baking powder, then spray down some tin foil with, like your 1 cal spray, and then put technically a thick mixture of oats with some baking powder on there, chuck it in the air fryer for 10 minutes, and it literally comes out as a cookie. So it's like an oat cookie. And obviously, if you've mixed your whey into that, or you can put a whey sludge on top or protein powder sludge, whatever you want, it's incredible. Like, honestly, I'm getting hungry now. I'm hungry all the time, to be fair.
And the main meals, it's like, because I remember you saying like literally you're cooking everything in it. So like your main meals, you're doing
literally like potato, tofu, whatever meat replacements. If I'm having like vegan sausages, anything in the air fryer for 10 minutes, like even down to my veg. Like I heard that broccoli gets burnt in it, so maybe not broccoli, but my green beans, my asparagus, my courgette, my carrots, literally everything. It's a convection oven. It spins really hot air around your food, cooks it inside and out very quickly, makes it crispy. No oil. Like, what more could you want? Just don't put like liquids in there. No, you can't make onion rings in there, okay? But you shouldn't be making onion rings anyway, because if you're gonna have onion rings, go and get the real deal where they are deep fried and covered in shit.
Yes, yeah. TGI Fridays do fantastic onion rings.
There you go.
Yeah, I think, and the timing wise is massive, right? 10 minutes, 15 minutes.
Oh my god!
And then
you've got to think on prep. Like, I was doing an hour of cardio every day, 2 to 3 hours of training, 15,000 steps, and obviously working in and around that, posing lessons, posing practice, checking in with my coach every day. When I tell you my day, 6 to 7 hours of it was contributed to physical activity or prep related stuff. I'm not joking. Like 6 to 7 hours of my day. So food, the fact that I can meal prep for the day, literally within half an hour of chucking everything in my air fryer while that's cooking, I might, prep a couple of other bits, all of my meals done for the day. Like, meal prep can literally take you 20 minutes to half an hour for the day, or if you put aside 2 hours in the week, then that sorts you out for your whole week.
Yeah, it's super simple. I got one back in the UK, and I tried it in Miami for the first time, and it was just, I mean, there's nothing like it. Like the prep time goes down by 3/4, and the ability to have fresh food also then increases, because a lot of people mention about how they don't want to eat either out of Tupperware, or they don't want to eat out of like stuff that they made a couple of days ago, which I totally get. But then this is the old alternative excuse. I mean, for a point, I was making food and taking it out of the air fryer with the handle, and then just having a fork into the air fryer and eating it.
Literally.
Like that.
Oh yeah, like, I've been there, done that. The other thing that I've just I bought myself this as a post-show treat, because my carbs were so low and like rice was a myth. I was only like having 2 rice cakes for like my available carbs. But now that I've got more carbs to play with and I can actually eat a decent serving of rice, I thought I'm going to buy a rice cooker. Oh my fucking God. Like, why did I not do that 10 years ago? So, like, sort however much rice you want out, weigh it out, put it in there for literally like 10 minutes. You've got perfectly cooked sticky rice, sorted, like done. Like, you don't literally have to do anything aside from put it in with the right amount of water. Ridiculous stuff. Like, we are so lucky to be where we are right now at this point in time.
We're living the dream with our air fryers and rice cookers.
Like, fuck nuclear science. Just tell me how to cook my food quicker.
Yeah, there you go. How important has the process of learning to cook, now let's call cooking as the air fryer as well included,
learning to put food in the air fryer?
Yeah, but how important has that part been to the enjoyment process of what you're doing? Like, you know what I mean, when you're like, before, when I had no clue at university, I used to make stir fries every single day because I knew nothing. I used to make chopped chicken breast over the top, and that was horrible. But that's all I knew what to cook: beans on toast, and like the culinary part of like eating. How important do you think it is, and has yours improved over time as well?
Yeah, okay. I definitely think that the fact that people think that when you change maybe your kind of diet, like people think when I became vegan, they're like, oh no, like how do you figure out what to cook? But I had to get a little bit more creative because I had to start looking into recipes a bit more. So if you've got a reason or a motivation to want to, make food exciting, then you will. And the same goes for my prep. Like when you've got 1,000 calories to play with, you got to figure out how to get fucking creative because you're so hungry. You need to really enjoy that food. So for me, I won't say that I am, Gordon Ramsay as such. Like, I don't love spending my whole day cooking food and having it take a long amount of time. I'm a very, very busy lady. So it does need to be quick and convenient for me. But the fact that, I'd gone from just chucking stuff from like an oven pizza, everything in a box, something out of the freezer. Like that used to be my diet at uni. Everything came out of the freezer and just kind of went into the oven. Like, do you actually feel like proud doing that? Like, not many people kind of do. And if you're doing that every single day, you got to think, fuck, man, like, where did this pizza come from? Like, what was its journey to get into this box? So when you can kind of like have a little bit more control over what you're eating and you eat, nice fresh food, as you said, you chop up a potato, which takes you 30 seconds, chuck it in the air fryer, 10 minutes later, you've got chips. Like you just feel a little bit better about it. And so I think just learning to create something that's convenient as well as what I enjoy, and the fact that I actually have developed that nutritional kind of knowledge and know what I am putting into my body makes me feel a hell of a lot better. I'm not going to say that I love cooking and that I'm like the spice queen, even though I know I look pretty good, but I just feel like we need to make sure that people are slowly but surely giving themselves a little bit more ownership over what they're actually doing to their bodies.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, if you want to eat shit food for the rest of your life, do it. But also, then, if you don't actually spend some time, and it's not even that much time, it's just finding the right implement from Amazon, finding the right spices from whichever supermarket you want to be sponsored by, and then doing that repeatedly and try and find a blend between the two of those, and you'll be absolutely fine.
Yeah, not to mention, it's just so easy to it's so easy to just open your eyes and type in hashtag high protein vegan recipes on Instagram and follow the tag. Like your timeline is filled with, things that you can eat. It is so accessible now to find these things, especially on social media. Like some of the reels that I've seen have transformed my life, like in terms of certain recipes. So just like start putting the effort in and your life is going to get a whole lot tastier.
That's a good tagline. All right. Speaking of taste, what are your go-to favorite protein powder? First of all.
Oh, okay. So you've got to go for like the staple, which is like a salted caramel, because you can have that with pretty much anything. I'm loving a chocolate mint at the moment because it's quite refreshing, like almost like summer with frozen berries. That's quite good. And then for like a more kind of like luxury one, there's this ghost one that's pancake batter. I really like that. That's pretty rich. Like I couldn't have that on everything. But yeah, those are good. However, I've still got more shopping to do for protein powders. I'm excited for my next order is all I'm going to say.
Yeah, what's the company? Perform.
Perform.
Yeah.
Funnily enough, yep.
Yeah, fuck that. Sorry, I'm never gonna get a sponsorship now. They've got one that's like something batter. It's not pancake batter, but it's something batter. Chocolate brownie batter or something like that.
They've also got
fucking believable. And you've got carrot cake as well, which is doing the rounds at the moment.
Yeah. I've heard that the brownie batter, salted caramel, and carrot cake whey from Perform is insane. So the chocolate mint, which I just said, that's a vegan Perform whey, which is not whey. You don't get vegan whey. That's a vegan protein powder, which I've been having recently, which is so good. But Ghost also do a chocolate cereal milk. Fucking hell, that's ridiculous. Like that's actually ridiculous and almost like a little bit dangerous. Like you kind of feel like you shouldn't be eating that, but it's just protein powder. Like, so I keep that one stacked away for when I really do need like a bit of a sweet treat.
Yeah. God bless TM Cycles for introducing it to us.
Honestly, what a man, what a man. The fact that when he made his like carrot cake creme and then he was like dipping his oats into it, like I did that, but I made almost like a cherry bakewell flavored kind of thing. Like this is what I mean, like you can get so creative with simple ingredient foods. Like if you properly dress up a bowl of oats, you will never ever like have a dessert which can be as good as that. I'll say this one for the people who don't actually care about whether they're eating a healthy bowl of oats or, you know, a slightly more kind of a calorie dense bowl of oats, shall we say. But one of my best creations ever was grating like lemon zest into a bowl of oats, which had, you know, some kind of like standard protein powder in there. But then I made like a hole in the middle. I made it like baked oats and I put lemon curd inside. And then I crumbled like digestive biscuits on top. So it was like a lemon cheesecake oat thing. That was fucking ridiculous.
Yeah. That all starts with curiosity, like we started the podcast with.
All starts with being a fat shit at heart. That's what it starts with.
Yeah, I'm curious.
Like, I'm not gonna lie. I think maybe part of my reason for competing was maybe you can prove to yourself that you're not permanently a fat bitch. Yet coming out of my show, I'm just like, oh, where's all of the food all the time? Like, I'm never gonna be a naturally lean person.
No, not when you like those type of foods. Best spices and herbs and seasonings. If you're not, I know you said you're not the spice queen, but what do you use on your meals that make it taste nice?
My staples are. Do I have to say salt? Is that an obvious one?
That's not an obvious
like,
one. Imagine the people that don't put salt on their food.
Okay, right. Well, pink Himalayan salt. I also use low salt because potassium important, muscle contraction, yada yada yada. Obviously, like staples for me are like chili flakes, cinnamon. A lot of the time you could just get really good mixes of certain spices in shops now. I've only recently started buying like just like the general like off the shelf ones, which are like these ones are for potato wedges. And I'm like, okay, let's see what this tastes like. You put it on the potatoes before they go in the air fryer. Well, shit, it's like fucking potato wedges. So I'm still experimenting with those. But generally, like I'd say I'm more of a kind of like, I'm less spices, more sauces kind of person.
Yeah, I'm more of a tomato ketchup with sriracha, like the mixed one.
Oh yeah, yeah.
God bless Heinz.
I mean, I would like eat a jar of mayonnaise with everything if I could, but like that's just not really appropriate, is it? So that's what I mean. Like if we're picking and choosing our battles, what yeah. Like the Nandos peri peri sauces are stupidly macro friendly. And like they taste really fresh, especially like quite like zesty and lemony. And that's if you can handle the spice, you know. If you're a lemon and herb person, then I'm not talking to you right now.
we
can't be friends.
Yeah,
exactly.
they did a new one. I don't know what I went the other day, and they put one like a little bit lower, like a barbecue something. And I'm like, people are just getting a bit too PC for this bullshit. Do Nandos and do spicy, and then tell us the lemon and the herbs just like.
Yeah, I'll never forget like my best friend, he's from Ghana, and literally like he obviously at home is so used to such spicy food, and we went to Nando's once and he ordered his chicken to be like extra hot, and then he just got the fucking black sauce and like put it all over his meal, and people were looking at him like he was psychotic, and he just sat there and ate it and like didn't even bat an eyelid, didn't even sniff, nothing. And I was just like, shit, man, like you could get paid a lot of money for that. Like that's impressive.
Get that guy doing the fucking ghost chilies and the buffalo wing challenges that are just incredibly hot. We have to wear gloves to do them.
Yeah, literally. I mean, yeah, you got to be careful where you put your hands. I made that mistake with topical Yohimbine during my prep. went in certain places which it probably wasn't meant to go in.
Yeah, I've done that too. And you're like, oh yeah, don't worry, I just rub it on my abs or my love handles, and then you think you've washed it off your hands, and then you go for a wee afterwards, and you're like, nope, still got it on my hands. And then you're dancing around the toilet. You're like, it's genuinely like stinging. You think.
However, because when you are that deep into a prep, you know, you're not feeling anything down there anyway. So maybe it's a good thing.
Yeah. Maybe it's maybe that's where the onion needs to be allocated to increase
Maybe.
the
just to remind yourself that it's there. Like someone asked me the other day, they were like, I think I put up a picture of me on the Stairmaster, and they were like, why are you on that like machine of death? And I was like, I've got to remember whether I've got a heart still. It's the only way that I will know. After prep, like haven't seen a human in ages, so yeah, it's one of them.
Yeah. So then now that you're in this improvement phase that you call it, how are you cultivating, last question by the way, how are you cultivating those performance metrics? Like, have you set goals for 6 months, year down the line, or where are you reverse engineering from effectively?
Yeah, so first and foremost, like the first 4 weeks coming out of the show is just the recovery phase. Like I might feel better because I've got some more carbs in my system, but my joints, my ligaments, they're still fucked and they're still very weak because of how weak you get during prep. So going into the gym now, it's still very, very much reduced volume, and just going through the motions and being careful. Also, my training style has changed alongside my kind of like long-term goals. So I am now incorporating exercises which I haven't done in a really long time. Also switching back to more compound movements, which I wasn't doing at the arse end of prep because I had to be supported by a machine through everything because I was so weak. So now it's just trying to get over these next kind of 4 to 6 weeks, get my body back into the swing of training, and building up my capacity for more volume. So that's my kind of primary focus right now, is just not fucking myself over and easing back into it, and also enjoying training. I lost my love for training at the end of prep. I really hated it because I just felt like it was futile, because I couldn't push myself. And then after that, it's going to be making sure that I am programmed to prioritize certain body parts and specialized, programming to just develop my body, not necessarily in a specific way, because that's what I was having to do when it came to training like a bikini athlete, to, build up my delts and build up my glutes and to downsize my quads because they were too big. Now the intention is to just fucking have fun training and eat and grow. Like that's my priority, because again, like I fell into or came into this industry because I loved training, not because I loved, looking a certain way, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Almost the feeling of the way that you train is more important than like the minutia of now, like this little bit is needing to be this big or this big. You need to be like, well, fuck, I need to enjoy my training first. That's what I came into it for. And then if those specializations happen, then that's great. But I don't want to lose the love for it. I don't know who was it that said that. I think there was a famous physique athlete that was moving from, I think he was moving from physique to classic a good few years ago now. And he was just like, as he moved through that, he just didn't enjoy doing it because he had to change the way he trained. He had to change the muscles that he tried to grow, and therefore he just lost that complete drive for the reason why he was great in the physique category, because he liked training the muscles that he was great in the physique. And then,
literally, that's pretty much like, that's something which I'm going to go on into a little bit more detail when I talk about my kind of like plans coming up into the improvement season and things like that. But genuinely, that is kind of how I felt throughout a lot of my season, was like a circle trying to fit into a square. Like it was like, pose so that your quads look smaller. Let's not train your quads and train your glutes as much as we can without activating your quads. And it's just like, if my quads want to fucking grow, just let them grow. Do you know what I mean? Like, and now I just want to get into training and see what happens.
Let those babies work.
Yeah, they're too dominant. They take away from the glutes and hamstrings. I'm not giving them all of the attention, that's for sure.
Spread the love.
Yeah.
So you have a YouTube channel, you have a Instagram page, you're coaching now online, which I'm assuming you're still jam-packed for.
I am at the moment. I will be taking on a very select handful of people in September. But yeah, I'm currently at the kind of stage where I'm just having to recalibrate things when it comes to business to be able to scale things and take more people on long term. But I do have to make sure that I'm not, sacrificing the quality of my service, which I'll never do. So that's why, there is a waiting list.
Yeah, no, makes absolute sense. I've been there, done that, got the t-shirt on that. It sucks when you don't do that. So learn from those mistakes that we spoke about before as well. So what's the YouTube channel name?
It's just Millie Cvjetkovic. Good luck typing that into YouTube. Maybe Nate can leave it in the maybe Nate can leave it in the description below for you.
Yeah, that's fine. We'll tag you on Instagram when we do it. And then you also have a podcast yourself as well, right?
Yeah, the Mindset Mill podcast. So if you want to know all the weird shit that goes on behind this brain, then you can tune in there. But yeah, that's more of my kind of podcast where I talk about my life adventures, my journeys, what I've learned along the way, and also some exciting guests coming up soon, which is, so the podcast is my new baby. So please do support it because I put a lot of energy into it at the moment.
Yeah, perfect. And obviously it's going to have lots and lots of excerpts from air frying adventures. So
I mean, I haven't talked about it yet, but maybe I should do an air fryer episode.
You should do it live with a video, and then you can do like a cook along with Millie with the air fryer. It's only going to be 10 minutes, so it'll be quite quick.
I'm almost frustrated that you said that because whoever listens to this is going to be like, Millie, you need to do it. Like, it's going to happen. Maybe I'll create a specific recipe book for my clients of only air fryer recipes.
That would be that would sell. That would
I know. Right, we've got two different ways of making money from this podcast. Whoever has listened, I want my royalties.
Yeah. So we'll how about we'll make one as a team. You can do the same.
It sounds good.
I'll do the savory.
Yeah. No, I'm so down for that. That sounds good.
Wicked. All right, well, Mill, thank you for coming on board. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. No, appreciate it very much, and hopefully I've provided some value of me chatting a little bit of shit there. Always do appreciate having the floor to talk about my air fryer adventures.
Yeah, that's great. And guys, go and support her in everything that she does because she's great. She's a good human, and as you can tell, she's a great laugh as well. So, guys, this is it from another week, and we'll catch you next week. Bye.